welcome to the India Global News. I'm your host Rika Roy. Over the next half hour, we'll take you through Canada to Bangladesh. There are many news that is happening across the globe. So here are the headlines that we take a look at this hour. Canada opposition leader cancels Diwali event amid row with India. Indo-Canadian community slams Poilievre, calling it an insensitive act. It's Muhammad Yunus versus the Awami League. He calls Hasina's party fascist, accuses them of fascism. Yunus says no place for Hasina's fascist party in Bangladesh. US condemns strike in northern Gaza, calls it appalling. Israeli strike on residential buildings kill at least 93 people. At least 62 people are killed in flash floods in Spain's Valencia region. Heavy storms trigger floods across Spain. A dozen centuries-old statues are unearthed in Cambodia. Statues depicting so-called door guardians are found. Artifacts are believed to belong from 11th century royal palace. There is more friction in the already strained New Delhi-Ottawa relations this time around. Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre finds himself in hot water after cancelling the annual Parliament-held Diwali event, a tradition that goes back 23 years. The move has sparked a massive backlash and accusations of discrimination, racism and even betrayal. And the event's organizer, the Overseas Friends of India Canada, has penned a scathing letter to Poilievre. This report tells you more. To discuss, we will also have guests, but let's first have a look at the report.
Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre's surprise decision to pull the plug on the 24th edition of Diwali celebrations at Parliament Hill has been met with immediate criticism from Overseas Friends of India Canada. The event is more than just a celebration. It is a rallying point for Canadians of Indian descent and an exhibition of multicultural spirit that Ottawa takes pride in. The organisers, who were not given any explanation whatsoever, argue that this move not only dims the festive spirit but also sends a troubling message to the South Asian community. Critics are labelling the cancellation a slap in the face, arguing it undermines the importance of cultural inclusivity. The event's organizer has slammed Poilievre, coupled with demanding an apology. The scathing letter, written by OFIC's president Sheikh Bhaskar, underlines that the cancellation has left the diaspora feeling betrayed and unjustly singled out. Bhaskar's letter highlights that the Indian community is being made to feel like outsiders and not fellow Canadians. It also stresses on rising racism and discrimination thriving in Canada. The letter, which represents the will of 850,000 members of the Indo-Canadian community, goes on to finally demand an apology for the quote-unquote insensitive and discriminatory acts. As the backlash grows, it remains to be seen how this incident will affect the opposition leader's standing within the community and the broader political landscape. For now, the leader faces an uphill battle to mend fences and restore trust. The Diwali event may be cancelled, but the conversation around inclusivity and respect is just heating up. Arjun Samar Mahindran, NDTV World.
Now, the Overseas Friends of India Canada has penned a scathing letter to Poilievre. We have with us Sheikh Bhaskar, the president of Overseas Friends of India Canada, and Vivek Mishra, Deputy Director of Strategic Studies Program of Visiting Fellow ORF, that is Observers Research Foundation America. Let me go over to Shiv Bhaskar, who has written this letter. Thank you very much for joining us on this show. What message does Poilievre's surprise cancellation really send to minority communities in Canada?
Yeah, Rika, thank you for having me. I mean, basically, I can give you a bit of background as to this event. Back in 1998, Deepak Oberoi, who is the member of parliament from the Conservative Party, had started this event on the Parliament Hill celebrating Diwali. So this has been going on for a number of years. And around 2016, we joined with him as he would sponsor it and we would do all the organizational part of it. So then Deepak passed away, I believe, in 2019. And then there was other members of parliament who stepped up. And more recently, it is Todd Doherty who was sponsoring it. And of course, the leader of the opposition. And this was also a non-bipartisan event where we invited members of parliament from all the different parties, NDP, Liberal, and Green Party, and so on. So this was a multicultural event and very important event for the Hindu Canadians and the Buddhists and the Jains and the Sikhs to attend as we celebrated the Diwali on the Hill. This year, we were planning to do the same thing on October 30th, but then we received a one-line email saying, hey, the event is canceled and happy Diwali.
Mr. Bhaskar, Canada prides itself for multiculturalism. Why has Pierre Poilievre now cancelled a tradition that has been ongoing for 23 years?
Well, I can only think of the underlying tensions that are going on between India and Canada. I cannot think of anything else. We were not provided any explanation. We asked for an explanation and none was provided. So I can only guesstimate that it is the dispute that's going on between India and Canada. But, we're Canadian. We are Hindu Canadians, and this is a Canadian organization. And we take exception to that fact. We have no, we can't really pressure anybody to take any actions. So we have nothing to do with what India does or not does, or any other nation does or not. So why are we being impacted? And I think that's what the letter outlines and shows our displeasure.
Vivek Mishra, would you say that this is just another angle to the story of India-Canada growing strained relationship?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think it's from an external viewpoint, if I can take a pick from where Shiv left, I think it's a travesty of not making an effort for an off-ramp in the India-Canada bilateral relations. I think it's extremely important that there is an off-ramp from here. And clearly there are no indications for that from the Canadian side. And most of all, you're impacting one of the most cosmopolitan, inclusive festivals of all, around the world, which is Diwali. Just days before the White House held a Diwali here in Washington, D.C. And to my mind, it's really baffling why, it's not actually baffling. I mean, the reasons are very, very, very pertinent and out there for people to see and why this has been cancelled. But an opposition leader buckling to the pressure, to the political pressure inside in Canada is, and that too in times which is calling for a celebration of inclusivity, if anything, is really reflective of the dirt that politics has sort of excavated, and it shouldn't be like that. So I think clearly the signs from for an off-ramp in India-Canada bilateral relations are not good.
Well, Vivek Mishra, are conservatives snubbing Indo-Canadians to garner support from Jagmeet Singh's NDP? What do you think?
So, I mean, if you look at the internal politics, the NDP has pulled its plug on the Liberal Party, and in fact, there was a press conference several weeks back where he said that Jagmeet Singh has stopped all conversations with the Liberal Party. Meanwhile, you have had several, I think 20 odd MPs telling Justin Trudeau to step aside, which of course he's held this position and rebuff those calls. But clearly, the underlying tensions are visible to even those living as far as India of what's happening in Canada. And this might be just the last scrambled effort to save his position, because obviously you can save your position to some extent, but what will Trudeau do next year is I think pretty much clear to most of us. And because if you look at the polls, the Conservative Party is way ahead. And it is likely to hold because if you know, there are clear indications as to how people feel in terms of rising prices, affordable housing in Canada, and so on and so forth.
Shiv Bhaskar, if I may ask you the last question, how will this play out for the Conservatives given Poilievre had accused Trudeau of playing vote bank politics and now seems to be doing the same thing?
I'm a little bit having problem hearing your voice, but could you repeat your question again?
Well, my question is, I mean, how is it going to play out for the Conservatives given that Poilievre had accused Trudeau of playing vote bank politics and now it seems he's doing the same thing?
Yeah, so I think, well, you know, it's political, right? Everything is political games. So they're trying to, I guess, look at, you know, which Pacific community they should play more to. And but I think, you know, the Conservatives have been more, how would I say, more fair or more balanced. I mean, last time when Prime Minister Harper was here, you know, the Prime Minister Modi came here and we had a wonderful relationship going on at that time. So we almost had a trade deal done at that time. It was almost signed. And then, of course, the Justin Trudeau government, the Liberals came in and things just totally fell apart. And his visit back in, I think, 2018, after that, things just went downhill. But you see, Canada is a trading nation and we export 80% of what we make. Most of it goes to the US, I agree. But Canada and India has such a great opportunity to, you know, to increase their trade multifold. And that's where the focus has to be because it'll benefit not only Canada and it'll benefit India as well. I mean, we have a lot of uranium and we have a lot of potash. We have a lot of other resources that are very useful to India. And then as far as India goes, they can export a lot of the, you know, software and intelligence related stuff and other things that we need. So, you know, trade is a win-win situation. And once the cooler heads prevail, and probably I don't think it'll happen until change in government, but I could be wrong. But once a change in government is there, I think you will see this relationship go up again. And I think, you know, we'll have the same kind of good relationship that we had under Prime Minister Harper. Right. And then we will have under Pierre Poilievre. But, you know, in the meantime, these games are being played and we, you know, we have to work with that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on broadcast this evening. With that, a quick break on the show. When we come back, we take you to Bangladesh to talk about what's happening. Why is Yunus accusing Awami League of being a fascist party? Stay tuned. Welcome back. Bangladesh's interim government's head, Muhammad Yunus, has levelled strong accusation against former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League, calling them a fascist party. Chief advisor to Bangladesh government Yunus called Sheikh Hasina's party fascist, asserting that it currently has no place in the country's political landscape. Yunus openly stated his opposition to the Awami League, claiming that the party controlled the people, political machinery and institutions to enhance their own interests. The interim government head then declared that no fascist party should be in existence in the democratic system. Yunus further clarified that the interim government had no immediate plans to seek former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's extradition from India following her ouster in August. There have been debates within Bangladesh over the party's future, whether it should be temporarily suspended from politics or not, and required to make reforms or be banned outright. To discuss the state of Bangladesh right now, we are joined by Ayanjit Sen, foreign policy expert. We will also be joined by Muqtadi Rashid from Bangladesh. He is a Bangladeshi journalist. Let me go over to Ayanjit first. Mr. Sen, how does one see Yunus's recent statement saying that there is no space for Awami League in Bangladesh, in the politics of Bangladesh?
Thank you for having me. Well, I think as far as Muhammad Yunus is concerned, it's definitely he has taken a hard line on Awami League, and it's in a way it's being prevented. They've been trying to prevent from being a political party in that realm of the term. They may not be able to even contest the election. That's what the plans are as far as the interim government which is concerned. And more than that, I think it's more of a way that, remember Yunus, when Awami League was in power, Yunus, several cases were filed against Yunus. And that's something which definitely has played a role in his decision as he has been taken, because since he's right now in command. But at the same time, I think it has been a little bit more than exaggerated way of saying that that Yunus has put it as a fascist, a party with a fascist character. Now, that's something which I don't think is true to any extent. And it has been a political party, just like the other political parties in Bangladesh, like BNP and the Awami League, of course, and the BNP and Jamaat and the other parties. So it's I think it has crossed the line a little bit, definitely.
Would you say Muhammad Yunus is trying to eliminate his political adversaries?
Well, I think that's more to do with that. I think less of political adversary, more of, I think, personal grudges. It's more on that front, because anyway, he's above 80 now. And he may have some political aim or designs that he may have made while coming over as the caretaker government head. But at the same time, I think it's more of a personal vendetta that he's trying to put it out against the Awami League. And as far as his own political agenda is concerned, I don't think that's so much of a big thing, because at the end of the day, it will be one of the political parties which will be coming into power as and when elections take place. It can be BNP, or it can be Jamaat, or the Jatiya Party, which is also out there. So
you don't see there is a chance for the return of Awami League as and when the elections happen?
Well, that totally depends on how things unfold over the next few days, few months, because we don't know till when they'll be in power, number one. Number two, there are chances, people are saying, there are chances that the army may take over. That is something which is the word doing the rounds right now. But at the same time, as and when it comes, because as and when elections take place, I think all the political parties, including BNP and the Jatiya Party, has not uttered a single word to do with, as far as, when there were questions raised on removal of the president of Bangladesh and all those stuff that the Yunus government has been trying to do. But from that perspective, I think as far as Army League is concerned, it's time as it things happen. So, we'll have to wait and see how things unfold, because in Bangladesh, of course, things are moving at a very fast pace. This much is 100% sure, because after the return of the army chief from the US, meeting the Pentagon and of course, his visit to Canada and several other officials in the US, we have to wait and watch. It's more of a wait and watch game right now, as far as India is.
Since you are watching the political situation very, very closely, Ayanjit, is there a scenario, or could there be a scenario where Awami League is banned from politics altogether?
Well, that's what exactly Yunus has been trying. That's exactly what that's the reason why. First of all, he has termed Awami League as a party with fascist character. Then it's taking this hard line against the Awami League, of course, and more than important, I think one more very important aspect is that the Chhatro League, which is the student body of the Awami League political party, has been termed illegal as part of their anti-terrorism act of Bangladesh, and trying to weaken Awami League as much as possible, if at all and when the elections take place, so that they are not able to take part in the elections. I think that's
Right.
that's the design that I think is being drawn as far as the Yunus administration.
And does this reflect a shift in Bangladesh's democracy?
Well, to an extent, definitely yes, because right now, I don't know how democracy is there, of course, because it's just the interim government in power, that's all. But, you can call the country a democracy as and when elections take place, but that it may take 6 months, it may take a year, it might take two, who knows. But at the same time, it's very important to understand that one political party should be in power, and to do that, you have to have the elections underway. And that's the reason why the BNP and the Jatiya Party has been begging the Yunus administration to hold elections as soon as possible. So,
Right.
of course, there are differences of stand and everything, but let's see as to how it unfolds as time rolls on.
We are also joined by Bangladeshi journalist Muqtadir Rashid. Muqtadir, when will Bangladesh hold elections? Many reports are suggesting that it could get postponed for as long as 2 years.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it could be like that. It could be like 1 year and a half, and then it could be for 2 years. But the people now have its own priority, and the IG government, interim government, has its own kind of priority. So what is the expectation? If you ask the people, that they will have some expectation, like the inflation is one of the biggest issue right at this point, and a law and order situation is still, this government is facing criticism for that. So if those are things, could get the more priorities, then I hope that the situation can be better. And the government has, the people has more expectation on the government, especially they want some reform starting from the judiciary, election commission, and this expectation should be met. And unless we have this, reformation, there would be a problem in future. So we expect this. In this context, yes, of course, the BNP is looking for, the election as soon as possible, as the Jamaat and other parties. But all things depend on. How the government, the interim government, will lead the days ahead.
Right, thank you very much, Muqtadir and Anjit Sen, for joining us on the broadcast this evening and discussing Bangladesh's future. With that, a wrap on the show on India Global. Thanks for watching.